Now, when we think of a roast, we usually think of a roast chicken or a roast lamb in the oven on a Sunday. But I know in the last few years, there's been a real shift into eating more vegetables, and I love nothing more than roasting them. Today, we're gonna make this red cabbage, the star of the show. The first thing I'm going to do is cut our cabbage into steaks. Now, you can roast cabbages whole. It can take around 4 hours. This just makes it a lot quicker to do. So I'm gonna go down through the middle of the cabbage. So you can see here, the core is really gonna hold this cabbage together. And then we're gonna slice some steaks. So I like to go about 1.5 centimeters thick. There's one steak. Now I've seen this a lot done with cauliflower, but I really like the funky color of the red cabbage. It's full of vitamin C, lots of antioxidants in it. So it's really, really healthy for you, and it looks fantastic on the table as well. All right, that's the hardest part of the recipe, wrangling that cabbage. So 4 steaks just onto a lined oven tray. Now we are gonna make a beautiful little miso mixture for this. So these are butter roasted cabbages, very delicious. We're then going to go and top that with a miso glaze on top. So we're giving a little Japanese spin on a traditional kind of roast. I think 4 of these is gonna fit quite nicely on our tray here. So butter roasted cabbages means just that, butter, plenty of butter on them. Just sliced it into little cubes. Now I remember growing up, cabbage we only ever had boiled, and it was boiled for a long time. Kind of was a bit insipid, but roasting cabbage is a fantastic way, kind of get some nice crispy, crunchy bits out on the outside. Obviously that butter is gonna give us a beautiful flavor. And those layers on the inside, they almost steam as it cooks. So we get kind of lots of different textures, and it's a fantastic way to cook cabbage. A little bit of sea salt, but the miso mixture we're putting on later on is quite salty, so don't be too heavy-handed with the salt at this stage. These will take about 40 to 45 minutes to get nice and roasty and toasty, and a few gnarly bits on the outside. So in they go. Oh, look at this. I know what you're thinking, who gets excited over cabbage? I do, look at this, it's seriously good. Got some beautiful crispy bits on the outside, which is what we're after. Now we're gonna go on with our miso glaze. So miso and butter, really, really good combination. So miso is a fermented soybean. You would see it in the supermarkets now. It's kind of a salty, sweet paste. It's very Moorish. I've got 1/4 cup of miso to go in a bowl. Teaspoon of sesame oil, beautiful smokiness to our glaze. Some sake, so this is just a cooking sake that you can get in the supermarket also. Some mirin, so a sweet Japanese cooking wine. Some honey. The honey's just gonna balance up that saltiness in the miso. About a teaspoon. Give that a whisk. We don't need to add any salt into this because that miso is quite salty. All right, got a smooth kind of paste now. So I'm gonna pop this onto our cabbage. Now the cabbage is pretty much cooked. We just need to give this around 5 or 6 more minutes in the oven. Just coat that all over our cabbage. I'm gonna have a peek through the oven and just see when that miso's bubbling up, I know that it's ready. So one of the garnishes for my miso roast cabbage is I'm gonna make a little Japanese birdseed mix. That's what I call it anyway. Now the base of that is some of this seaweed or these nori sheets. Now you would have seen these used in sushi, and they're quite pliable at the minute. So for the last 5 minutes the cabbage is roasting, I'm just gonna actually roast off this sheet of nori for a couple of minutes just to crisp it back up. Okay, couple of minutes just to get that toastiness back into that nori sheet. So now some clean kitchen scissors. If I'm doing kind of sushi bowls or anything Japanese, I like to sprinkle this mixture on top. So it's our nori sheets just sliced into matchsticks. So it's just something crunchy and crispy to go onto our miso cabbage. So sesame seeds go in, some sunflower seeds, and I'm going to do some handy craft work with our toasted nori sheets. Just slice them into thin little strips. Oh, bubbly miso glaze on our cabbages, looking fantastic. Now I reckon I'm going to plate up this one here, our beautiful miso butter cabbage steak, our little Japanese birdseed mix that we made earlier, sprinkle some of that over, some green chives. You could top this off with anything you liked. Of course, I'm serving it on its own today, but this would go fantastic with some roast chicken, a nice grilled piece of salmon, a fantastic kind of rice sushi bowl. It would be a great way to top it off. Really up to you how you want to serve it. Oh, it's so good. It's so sweet. It's so delicious. Do you know the best thing is, with a roast you get the crispy skin. We get the same thing with the outside of the cabbage. Why don't you give my miso butter cabbage steaks a go next time you're doing a roast?